talk about the time I spent in Moldova this summer on a Russian language summer program. So I went through a program called NSLIY, or for short, NISLY. And it's a program through the State Department that gives full scholarships to students to study abroad between the ages of 15 to 18. So as you move into high school, this would be a really great program to keep in mind. But I also hope some of the experiences that I share will urge you to take advantage of the international opportunities which you have in the middle school right now. And what is so great about this program is it is fully funded because it is a merit-based scholarship. And so they not only pay for your plane ticket, your hotel the first couple days, but you also get a given stipend, which you can use for food, transport, and extra. And I actually had enough to buy souvenirs and come back with some money left. So where and what languages? So they focus on enhancing what it defines as critical languages abroad, and that's Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, Korean, Persian, Russian, and Turkish. And what you do is you choose your language that you want to study, and then you get sent to one of the countries where it's spoken, and that can be Jordan, Morocco, Oman, China, South Korea, Russia, Moldova, Estonia, India, Tajikistan, or Turkey. So the basic structure of the program is, first of all, academic. You take 120 hours learning the language. You have cultural excursions. Then you live the whole time. I was there for 6 weeks with a host family. And then you're also given a lot of free time. So my experience in Moldova. So first of all, what is Moldova? Moldova is an Eastern Europe former Soviet bloc country, and it was founded in 1991. If you look on the map, it is to the west is Romania, and to the north and the east is Ukraine. It is a large agricultural and wine-based country, so a lot of the countryside is filled with a lot of vineyards and really pretty fields. It is the least traveled to European country. The main languages spoken there are Romanian, Russian, and Ukrainian, and it really depends where you are in the country, of which is spoken more commonly. And the predominant religion is Eastern Orthodox. So currency, since they're not in the EU, they have their own, called the Moldovan lei, and about $1 US is about 19 lei. And one thing I noticed while I was over there is that a lot of products were priced a lot cheaper when I converted them. So for example, I spent 2 lei on a trolley bus ticket each day, and that equates to only about 10 cents. These are the money notes, and this is an ad for a cell phone in lei. So the city that I did my experience in was called Chisinau, or in Russian, Chisinau. And it is the capital of Moldova, and it's also the largest city in Moldova. And you can see on the map, it's right about in the middle. And it's the most economically prosperous part of the country, which is significant because Moldova is the poorest country in Europe. And while I was there, the temperature ranged from about 85 to 95 degrees in the summer, but we did have a couple of 100-degree days. So here are just some sights around the city. This is the National Library. This is the World War II Memorial. This is a statue of the Moldovan king, Stefan cel Mare, and he was on the currency. And he's basically so famous because every time that he would win a battle, he would build a monastery, which you'll see some photos of later, in the countryside. And then this is And then this is a picture of the Victory Arch in the center of the town. So here were some of the biggest cultural differences for me. So first of all, were stray cats and dogs. If you look in this photo, and you look really closely, there are actually 7 stray cats in that photo. And that's taken right outside of the apartment which I lived in. And this was so significant for me because being in America and like Western Europe, you don't really see that many, but they're really all over the city. And one story I remember is I was sitting in the park with some of my friends, and we were like on a bench, and we see this pack of like 7 stray dogs just walk straight in front of us. The next is called marshrukas, or marshruki, and this is a marshruka. It is basically a white van with tinted windows and a red number on the front, and it is one of the most widely used public transport systems in Moldova. And they don't have stops like a train or a bus would, but the drivers basically drive on a route, and to stop one or to get on, you like go in the street, and then put your arm out, and whether you're on a corner or in the middle of a road, they'll stop for you and you can get on. And then one of the next things that was really significant to me was the people there. They seemed very honest and genuine. Like, one of the really most significant stories for me was every day on the marshrutka, you go in, you pay the driver 3 lei, but a lot of times it's crowded, so you have to like push on, and in order to get the 3 lei up, like while the driver's trying to drive, it's really hard to count the change while everyone's getting on, and you have a minibus stop in the road. So what you would do is you would get on, whether you're at the back or right next to him, you could pass your money up, and you'd see every single person, complete strangers, pass it up. He would count your change, and you'd see it pass back the exact change every single time. And it was so significant for me because I never had to worry about I'm going to get less money than I gave up back. And then finally, seeing Russian and Romanian. So this is a picture of a juice box, and you can see on the front is the Romanian, and on the bottom is the Russian. And finally, one funny cultural difference was that all the milk was in bags. So instead of having like cartons or big gallons, it was in a bag. So my host family. So one of my favorite parts of this experience was that I got to live with a host family. And it was at times very challenging because I'd never taken any Russian before, and they didn't speak any English. But I really loved that it immersed you so much, so you really got to learn the language. Instead of just shutting your mind off of it and learning for about an hour a day in school, it was like being there made it a necessity, and it made it fun. So my host family, I had a host dad, host mom. This is my host sister, she was 6, and then a host bird. And then also, not pictured, I had a grandma who lived with us. So here's some of my most significant host family experiences. So first of all was showering. So my host family didn't have hot water, so what we would need to do is heat it up in a teapot on the stove, and when that's ready, you take it to the bathroom, put it in a bucket, and then you mix it with cold water. And then I actually use this mayonnaise tub right here to like pour it on myself and shower. So that was really different for me. And then one of the other things I really enjoyed was playing with my host sister. She was growing up learning Romanian and Russian, so her Russian was kind of on the level of my beginner Russian. So it was really fun to be able to kind of learn and talk on like the same basic level. And this is a photo of something we made with her toys, and this is a photo of us playing with her bird. Another one of my significant experiences with my host sister was we went outside to play with a ball, and she sees this pack of cats like sitting outside of the door of the apartment. And her first instinct is to go scoop up one of these cats, and we basically spend the next hour, well, she basically spends the next hour, like petting it, naming it, and just playing with this stray cat on the street. So we got food. So obviously food depends a lot on the host family you're put with, but one of the most popular things in Moldova is definitely tea. They drink it with pretty much every meal. And then another popular drink is called compote, and it is basically a bunch of fruit that you put and you let it soak in water. I wish I knew more about how it was made, but I know that a lot of Moldovans make their own compote. This in the middle is what I have for breakfast every morning. It was called kasha, and it's basically oatmeal. This is a photo of just a normal meal. There were always peaches on the table because since Moldova is so agricultural, you couldn't go down the street without seeing some vendor with his box of peaches, tomatoes, everything on the street. And then this is a photo of sour cream cake. One thing that really surprised me was that they put sour cream in everything. Whether they put it in their soup, they put it on their bread, they get into their pastries, and they call it smetana. So my buba. So part of the program I went with, I was really lucky that I got to go with a group. And it's really great going with a group because we were given a resident director who, if anything happened or we were having trouble with our host family, we could go and talk to. And then we went to school with our group, we went on excursions with our group, and we got to hang out in free time with my group. And I loved it because I got to meet a lot of new friends. So my school. So for 4 hours each morning on the weekdays, I'd go to school. And on the right is Alla Petrovna. She was my Russian grammar teacher. On the left is Svetlana Yaroslavna, and she was my communications and speaking teacher. And because it is like a merit-based scholarship with language, you did have to take tests every week, and we had to take a final too. And learning Russian. So brief overview, it uses the Cyrillic alphabet, which you can see here. A lot of the letters look the same. Some of them sound the same, but some of them have completely different sounds. It's mostly written in cursive, as you can see right here. And it's written in cursive because a lot of times it's kind of choppy, so like writing this over and over wouldn't be as efficient. And then it has 6 different cases, and by definition it's basically like an ending that you tack onto a noun to suggest what the noun does in the sentence. French, Spanish, English don't have any cases. So here are just some photos around my house of Russian. This is my hostess's toothpaste. This is a book of Paddington the Bear, and this is a cooker with a lot of different settings. We were required to take an OPI, which is basically an interview over the phone, and it's recognized government, business, academic, and where superiors basically for it. It really shows how much you can learn by immersing yourself abroad, because all my groups scored between not as high and intermediate mid. I scored intermediate mid. So one of my favorite parts was the group excursions. So after we'd taken our classes, we got to go to many museums like the War, the History, the National Museum, and the Pushkin Museum. He was a Russian writer who lived in Moldova for a while. Then we had ICO challenges, and these were really fun because they were basically designed to force you to speak and immerse yourself. So first week there, our first ICO was we were given a sheet of paper with 3 different places that we had to find. And our resident director took away our phones and maps. So the only way that we could find these places were by asking people on the street. And then we also had music, cooking, and dance lessons. This right here, I know it may look weird, but it's called pachuta, and it's one of the really famous Moldovan dishes that we made in the cooking class. And it's basically like a really thin pie crust, but you fill it with cheese, meat, or whatever you want. We filled ours with fruit filling, so it kind of tasted like a thin crusted pie. Weekend excursions. So the first place we went to was called Stary Orhe, and it's Old Orhe, and it was a monastery built in the cliffside. So this photo right here is us inside it. That's where the monks used to live. And then this is a panorama of it overlooking a gorgeous valley. Our next was to Tsipova, and it was another Moldovan monastery built in a cliffside overlooking a valley. But what's really cool is that this right here is a breakaway country in Moldova called Transnistria, and we weren't allowed to go in it, but we were basically standing right on the border. And we also got to go on a hike down to a waterfall, which was really fun. Dolna and more monasteries. So a lot of Moldova is the countryside, and so this is a photo of what a lot of the countryside looked like in the summer. And then we went to some more monasteries. This is the oldest monastery in Moldova, and all these monasteries are Eastern Orthodox. And what was really cool is that there are monks still there. And so we actually walked into one, and we got to listen to them sing and just watch them worship. It was really cool. And then one of the distinct features of Eastern Orthodox churches is that they're so ornate. Everything's painted beautifully. It's all gold. It's really pretty. Moje svobodné время, my free time. So definitely one of my favorite parts of the program was getting to spend free time either with my friends or my host family, or just if I wanted to see something, to go on my own. So here's just some of the things that I did. So I went to roller skate in Moldova. This is the Second World War Memorial. This is a concert in the park. We went to the zoo. We saw a movie in Russian. And we went to a mall that is actually called Moldova. So I know a lot of you are still in middle school, but I really urge you to keep this program in mind and to take advantage of the opportunities that you have to go abroad in the middle school. So this was based on a merit scholarship, and you need to be between 15 to 18 years old. GPA, passport, physical, teacher recommendation, parent statement. You write a couple supplemental short essays, and then I had to do an interview if you're selected to the semifinalist stage. And then I got a notification early spring. So if you know someone you might be interested in this program, or you just might want to keep it in mind for a couple years, this is the website. It's an online application, and I guess that doesn't really apply to middle schoolers. And they're pretty opaque with their acceptance, but it's about 15 to 20%. So it is selective, but it is fully paid for. So finally, why apply, or why choose to study abroad or just visit abroad? First of all, language. Even if you've never taken a language before, even if you don't know if you'd be interested in taking a language, it's really, really great to just immerse yourself in a new language. Travel. Seeing new places around the world is not only fun, but it really helps to open your eyes a little bit more. And through this program, I was basically able to spend my summer abroad for free. And people, not only meeting my teachers and my host family, but I met a lot of great people through this program. So it's Justin Google Shoy. Thank you very much for listening.